Ask Reddit.
People who defeated depression, what really helped? Story 1. I stopped trying to be happy and started trying to be consistent. That changed everything. I think this is true wisdom. People tend to think that fixing depression means you need to feel happy, and the way to fix it is to chase happiness. But happiness is fleeting and incidental, and chasing it leads to more suffering when you avoid difficult things for the easy, short-term good feelings. If you create good habits, living consistently, you don't avoid those difficult things, you just go through them like they're any other day. You reduce the suffering. And then you can find happiness in moments along the way. I want to know exactly when everyone decided that happiness was the goal. I like happiness as much as anyone, but happiness isn't something you can make, and you definitely can't grab onto it when it appears. I'm focused on contentment. That's something you can definitely plan, build, create, and even hold on to. Wake up at the same time every day. I feel like if I wake up late, I'll lose the whole day and depression will set in. Go to bed at the same time every day. If I go to bed late, I'll wake up late and lose the whole morning. Don't stay in the house doing nothing. If you have a dog, take your dog out, otherwise you have to go for a walk every day, or run 3 times a week. Don't leave your room messy. Make your bed every day. Stay on top of cleaning. I can attest to this advice. I still struggle from time to time, but when that happens, I make sure to keep my space clean, go outside every day, limit myself to just being on my phone, eat well, and do a hobby consistently, even if I don't want to. If I keep these consistent, depression usually doesn't set in. I think the trick is to stay busy. Story 2. I lived one day at a time. I stopped aspiring to things in the future. I threw away my goals in life and tried to be in the moment. In the first period, I mastered a lot. At some point, I no longer felt the need to sleep except at night. And I started looking at my work, and I changed jobs. That started to make me feel a little better. Then I started eating healthier. From then on, my hobbies finally felt fun again. It felt like a long time, but the moment I realized I was out of my depression, which was at least 18 months, was because I suddenly felt a touch of happiness in my body. It felt like waking up from a dark dream, not so much a nightmare. It felt like a light was turned on. Suddenly, everything seemed brighter. I smiled more, and more smiles were returned. I started chatting again with complete strangers. I really went from darkness to light. I think the important thing is not to isolate yourself and always do some activity. And for anyone reading, one step at a time, and the moment you find yourself feeling good, even for a minute, in a healthy way, savor it, accept yourself even when it feels bad again. You have the power to change your life, get help, learn new things, become more flexible and adaptable, and please, be kind to yourself. Also, changing jobs and adjusting life circumstances, bad family/friends/roommates, have been key for me in avoiding depression. Sometimes depression is actually made worse by the fact that your life sucks, and it becomes hard to tell the difference. Also, I think society is built to make you depressed. When you're depressed, it's easier to be controlled into doing whatever they tell you or force you to do. I think a lot of people are depressed and therefore are a playing field for politicians. And like I said, you don't even know how they make you depressed. This is very revealing. It happens quietly, slowly, and suddenly you realize you're in a dark place. Story 3. Mine was situational, so I changed my situation. I'll go into a bit more detail. Mine was work. I quit my job. The depression went away. I had a toxic work situation that was getting worse, and I was starting to slide back into depression. Work can absolutely affect mental health. At work, there are no friends, only acquaintances. They never really want to see you as better than themselves. My health was slowly deteriorating. The stress was so great that a colleague died at my workplace. They always said he was sick beforehand, but I always knew it wasn't true. It was the work environment that made him feel better. Story 4. Get some form of exercise, and more exercise. Getting out of your house is important too. Every day. No matter what. I don't care if it's 10 degrees Celsius or 34 degrees Celsius. I'll be outside first thing every morning and not experience the bad morning blues. I think it was Dwayne Johnson, just in case he was the wrestling star, now an actor, in case you don't know him. I once spoke to him, and of all people, he gave me the best workout advice I've ever heard. He said something like, exercise every day, and preferably outside your house. It doesn't matter if you're just doing a set of squats or a 10-minute run. Quit when your body tells you to stop, but you have to get back to it tomorrow morning. Story 5. I think depression can be situational. Mine definitely was. Emotional and financial abuse for 20 years by my ex-husband put me in a very deep depression. I had high blood pressure for years, and my primary care physician was like, you need to take better care of your health. My doctor saw me for my physical the following year and was amazed because my health was so much better. I just said, I'm divorced. Fortunately, it feels like a new and different life, a completely different world since my divorce. Story 5. Taking action regardless of whether I feel bad. Crying about it if necessary. You'll never be 100% well, but if you know what you need to do and don't do it, you'll sink deeper into depression. Story 6. I literally transformed my entire life of depression when I finally listened to my therapist. I remember the day she told me, depression is a choice, and I've never hated anyone else in my life. But over time, I realized it was 100% true. The CBT triangle addresses how we have thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. You can't control, for the most part, your thoughts and feelings, but you can control your behaviors. You can't stop feeling depressed or thinking depressing thoughts, but you can do the opposite of what you want to do as a depressed person. With depression, motivation follows action, not the other way around. When you're depressed and you say, damn, I haven't cleaned up in so long, I'll wait until I feel a little better, it's exactly like saying, wait to go to the gym until I feel like it. The only way to beat depression is to do the opposite of what it asks of you. My life has truly changed, and I try to give this advice to the people I see who are depressed, which is actually a lot. Story 7. Well, maybe the vast majority of people don't like taking medication, but ketamine and Wellbutrin saved my life. Before these medications, I didn't know what it felt like to walk through life without a constant feeling of existentialism. To be clear, it's not a cure-all, but ketamine really helped me see the bigger picture. Wellbutrin helped me feel energized and motivated. Somewhere along the way, I quit alcohol. I think having to deal with being yourself all the time also helps. There's no escaping or denying your problems, so I can catch things much faster and turn them around more quickly. I also discovered that you don't have to listen to the voices in your head. Just because you listen to them doesn't mean it's a true reflection of your mind. Much of it is conditioned by our society, for example, judging someone who is overweight. You can also talk, and at first it really feels stupid, but you have to build that muscle. I'm still working on it and on self-love and all that, and I'm not putting myself out there in every conversation. I know I'll get depressed again, but it's become less painful, and I've learned to deal with it. Story 8. I'm going to tell my story, but I want to give a warning, there is no real victory against depression. It's like gravity. You'll always go down eventually, depression will return at some point. This helped me stay on top of the cycle of depression so that when I recover by going down again, I can get back up faster. Here's my advice. Ignore what other people say or do if it's not adding value or you don't find it useful and actionable in a real, tangible way. If it's not useful, it's useless by definition. Don't waste time and energy on anything you can use in your life. Get off social media. If you do this, you'll notice that a lot of the people you're allowing to take up space in your life will simply disappear. Straight up. It will be lonely, but that's okay. If they can be bothered to reach out to you, then they didn't belong in your life to begin with. Focus on the real relationships you have right in front of you. Block for 1 to 3 months. During that time, do all the things you've probably already tried or have been told to try. Go to the gym, this is especially important. Read self-help books. Walk. Go outside. Etc. This is the most important step for me. Write every day. Catalog your thoughts. Brain dump. Every day. It doesn't have to be a conscious thing, but this is the key. Start writing down your feelings. If you're feeling depressed, exorcise that. Write down your pain. Write down what's hurting you. Write down how you're dissatisfied in life. When you're stuck in depression, or in a negative train of thought, it's a waste of time and energy to try to force yourself out of it using false positivity, or making a to-do list, a goal list, or manifesting motivation. I tried it. It doesn't work. It's not sustainable. Instead, you need to get your negative thoughts on paper without the intention of trying to force yourself in any direction that doesn't feel natural or instinctive. If your instinct is woe is me, then let your writing be woe is me. Write down your thoughts without judgment or fear of judgment. Just let that negativity flow out of you. Then read them. By doing this, you'll be able to clearly see all the things that make you angry, upset, or dissatisfied. After a few days, you'll notice patterns. Highlight them. Take stock of them. Organize them. Put them out in plain sight. Review them. Let them anger you. Let the fact that these feelings control you make you angry. Then go back to the gym, or go for a walk, or whatever, and channel that anger into some kind of activity. Repeat this process for as long as it takes. Allow yourself to be angry, because anger and passion are energizing, but you need to make that anger productive. You must direct it towards something for it to be of any benefit. When you repeat this enough, you teach yourself the ability to harness your negativity and channel it into something productive. Productive is positive. A daily fitness discipline will make you stronger physically and mentally. Eventually, you'll notice that you feel better, more energetic, happier, and generally more content with yourself. That's the foundation of confidence. This works because when you're depressed, or down, or just plain sad, and you don't have a clear direction on what you want to work toward, then you need to paint an extremely clear picture of what you're working away from. Finding direction away from something is just as valid as having direction towards something. Then you'll have enough mental space and clarity to start thinking about things like: what do I like? What am I interested in? What am I good at? What do I want? Eventually, inevitably, life will ebb and flow, and you'll have to repeat this process. It's not a straight line. It's a circle. And that circle always leads to stasis in one way or another. You need to learn the practice of breaking out of stasis first before you can build momentum, and then momentum takes you in the right direction. I hope this has been helpful. Story 9. I've battled depression for 3 decades, and I can confidently say I've won a lasting victory. Surprising tools for me. When I'm going through something tough and know I need a lift to get through it, simply forcing myself to put on a small smile, even though it feels bad, actually helps. There's science to this. Just the act of smiling, even if you don't feel it, can release some dopamine. Analyze your sleep, nutrition, and physical activity, and try over time to optimize each of those factors in your daily routine. Each one hits very hard when they're out of balance, so tuning into them can help a lot. Secure a therapist with whom you can talk about whatever you're working on yourself. A person can only do so much on their own, but when you have a good specialist to help you, it can make a huge difference. Remember to be proud of what you've accomplished. Create a list of things you've done or are doing that you're proud of, and remember to refer to them if you're feeling depressed. Even if we can't feel amazing all the time, remembering what you're proud of can help counteract runaway anxiety. Story 10. I've never taken any medication for depression. For me, what worked was doing something. I spent probably 3 years doing nothing besides sleeping and surfing the internet, doing nothing important, because I had no motivation or energy to do anything else. Finally, a family friend offered me a job at the store he runs, basically just standing at a counter for 8 hours, helping maybe a dozen people a day. I got it more out of boredom than anything else. Just the act of getting out of my house, talking to the occasional person, and just being in a different place was what made the first cracks in me to help me climb out of the depressive funk I'd dug myself into. This won't be a magical saving grace. It still took me several years to completely break out of that mindset, with the support of several good friends, but it was definitely a starting point, a stable enough place to try to get better. Another friend, on the other hand, was also going through the same thing, but it wasn't enough for him to leave the house. He suffered from extreme depression and started going to therapy. He told me it was the best thing that ever happened to him. If you can, find a good therapist, and it could turn your life around. Story 11. You never truly defeat depression, my friend. You only learn to live with it and how to deal with it when it gets bad. Eventually, you'll notice the physiological, psychological, and emotional markers that indicate an approaching episode, and you can take necessary precautions, such as informing those closest to you if things get that bad, making plans to surround yourself with comforting things by making your hobbies more inviting, and being okay with canceling plans if necessary. Be honest with anyone who deserves to know, and remember that anyone who isn't also a therapist isn't. You can fight this and survive. I believe in you. Story 12. In 2020, my 7-year relationship ended in a huge betrayal. I dropped out of college because of the pandemic, everything was shut down. Living with my parents only made it harder because all they saw was a worthless man, rotting in his room with no future. And they made me very aware of my disappointment, always wondering what I was planning to do with my life. But like someone here said, I lived day by day. I spent every day waking up feeling the same. No energy, no excitement. Just wanting to lie in bed depressed, locked in my room in silence. The only time I felt good was when I was asleep. As the year went on, I noticed for the first time in my life that I felt like time was mine. I had all the time in the world. To myself. I had no job and no school. Every thought and action was for me. So during this time, I thought about my purpose, my passions, and what I stand for as a being. I think I've finally found myself. I tell the world it will have to wait, and simply rest and do things I love to fulfill my soul. Find yourself and find your purpose. Despite what politicians do to make our world shit. The sun rises, sets, the moon comes out to play, the grass grows, flowers bloom, bodies of water roar. It is bigger than us. Life is beautiful, and there is only one. Don't let society cage you, we were meant for complex emotions and to explore the earth. Peace and love to all. Story 13. I struggled with depression daily for 6 years, but that all ended about 3 years ago. I don't know if I'll have a depressive episode at some point in the future, but doing all these things has helped me a lot, and if I struggle with depression again, I feel like I have the tools to manage it. I still struggle with anxiety, but I have it under control, it's very manageable at this point. I'll detail what works for me, sorry if it's a bit long. First, have a good support system. I understand that not everyone has this blessing, but if you do, don't exclude the people who truly care about you and want to be there for you. I shut my family out for so long because I was worried about being a burden, but once I was admitted to the psychiatric ward, I really didn't hide it anymore. Once I opened up to them, my parents in this case, it was a relief, and they have been a great support to me. Second, very important to me is therapy. I tried many different therapists until I found one I like. My current therapist is amazing. I'm so grateful I found her, especially after dealing with some truly terrible therapists. I fully manage my mental health with weekly talk therapy right now. Third, improving my sleep. If I don't get enough sleep, I'm in trouble. My worst mental health days are the times I didn't get enough sleep the night before. Getting 8 hours of sleep a night makes a huge difference. Also, waking up at a reasonable time in the morning does too. I used to sleep until 3 p.m. and feel like I wasted the whole day, which made me feel like crap. I try to be asleep by midnight and wake up around 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. Fourth, eating better. Eat better, feel better. That doesn't mean never eating unhealthy foods again, but increasing my fruits and vegetables and getting enough protein can really help my mood and energy levels. Fifth, changing my situation. I stopped surrounding myself with bad relationships. People who used me, people who abused me, people who rejected me, and people who were really negative. At this point, I have a best friend who now lives in another country, my fiancé, and my family. It may not seem like much, especially in the friend department, but I'm grateful for the people I have and I'm much happier this way. I also changed jobs. I didn't graduate from college, I dropped out because of my mental health, but I'm thinking about maybe going to community college now, so my options were somewhat limited. But I worked a food service job that I hated, and it was making me miserable. Now I work an office job doing paperwork. Is it my favorite thing ever? No, but it certainly doesn't make me miserable, and I like the people I work with. Just getting up and doing something. I used to always feel so much better if I accomplished something that day, even if it was something small like making my bed, going for a walk, or cooking a meal. Story 14. It took me many years, but I stopped believing that you have to spend your life searching for a purpose and instead created my own small daily resolutions. If you think life is meant to be something big and you're not hitting the mark in some way, you're always living in the negative. As if life is meant to be 100% and you're at 25% or below all the time. But if you believe life doesn't have a big purpose, life starts every day at 0%, and if you do things in the day that give you even a little bit of purpose or happiness, like being kind or going for a walk or meditating or whatever, 25% is a great place to be. I'm explaining this terribly, and I'm sure someone smarter has said it better before, but that's the motto I've lived by. I'm not saying I don't feel super sad sometimes, but I don't have to fear that it's over. Oh, and meditation has been a real game changer for me, and for Buddhist ideology in general. I always read the Buddha's Heart Teaching once a year, my favorite book. Story 15. Several things helped me overcome my depression, which lasted for several years, but the most important thing was realizing I could get better, and then making the decision to get better no matter what I had to do. All of these things helped me with varying degrees of success. First, meditation. This takes practice and is frustrating at first. Keep at it and you'll be able to give yourself moments of peace. A few minutes break from the suffocation of depression is sometimes life-saving. Second, writing down my feelings and trying to figure out why I feel them. This helped me learn about myself, identify stressors, and figure out what I needed to improve my mental health. Third, exercising, your favorite sport. This is so easy to do in the sense that you can almost always do it every day, and it helps immediately. Hell, if you're depressed, it can't make anything worse. Third, talking to people. This sometimes helped the most, but it also backfired sometimes. People are unpredictable, but getting outside can help. Fourth, nutrition and sleep. This does a lot more than most people think. Eating healthy can be difficult if you're poor, and sleeping can be difficult for many people, but do your best to eat a healthy diet and get 8 hours of sleep, 9 to 10 if you're a woman. Fifth, find a creative outlet. Whether it's drawing, writing, playing video games, or singing in the shower, find something to get at least some of the thoughts out of your head. Sixth, work. Having a job and focusing on it will keep you distracted and obviously make you money. Money can buy happiness, you can go out to eat with it, you can go on trips, you can do many things. Fifth, go on adventures. Even going for a walk in your local park can help. Breathe fresh air, enjoy nature, move your body, realize how small we are and that we are here to live. Sixth, seek professional help. Obviously, this can be difficult if you're under 18 or can't afford it, but therapy can really help. You need to find a therapist who's good at what they do and who's a good match for you, so don't give up after the first one. Most first therapies don't go well, but if you find a good therapist, they can absolutely change your life. Story 16. My story is short, and I'll summarize it by saying I quit drinking and found a compatible therapist. I went through a very dark period during the pandemic and was put on an antidepressant. I even started therapy. It felt awful and wasn't working. I found a new therapist, and they were able to put things in perspective and communicate perfectly with me. I was able to realize that alcohol wasn't doing me any favors, and with the right therapist, quitting drinking was easier than I could have imagined. Once I stopped drinking, things got much brighter, and life started to improve. It was very easy to get off the antidepressant, and it's been 3 years since I quit drinking. I no longer need to go to therapy constantly. I check in with the therapist every now and then. It's like catching up with a good friend. Story 17. I haven't beaten it, but now I no longer suffer constantly from severe depression. Now I spend maybe an hour a day where I feel depressed, and then I'm fine again. And the depression isn't as bad as it was before. I try to be constantly moving because otherwise the depression only gets worse. What really helped? Cutting out and deleting all social media for a year, no smartphone for a year. I used one phone only for calls, stopped going out for a year, stopped drinking alcohol, and stopped taking any illegal medications. I traded the small dopamine hits from social media for bigger success by starting to run. I run 5 kilometers every day and sometimes a little more, and I've even lost weight. You have to be willing to work on yourself and accept that it won't happen quickly. You will have days when you fail, and that's okay. I know a lot of people will be like, but I can't. You can do it, but if I can, you can too. I went from a malnourished, homeless, violent, substance-addicted alcoholic who lived in an old car, was in prison, etc., to a $50K a year job, fit as a fiddle and strong as an ox, looking to buy my own house next year. Story 18. I wouldn't say I overcame it, but I learned to live with it and make the symptoms more manageable. First, I finally graduated from grad school and got a corporate job, so my income skyrocketed. Money helps. A lot. Second, I moved back to an area where I had my support network. That helped a ton. Third, I'm very strict about habits like making my bed, showering, brushing my teeth, and cleaning. I'm very strict about daily self-care habits, which, for me, were monumental challenges at the height of my depression. I find it much easier to stay on track even when I'm struggling. It took me years to learn and implement. My goals are reasonable for my level of depression, and I know I can achieve them. Fourth, I severely limited my exposure to the news and drastically restricted my social media consumption. I deleted Twitter, stopped checking Facebook and Instagram, and set a time limit on my phone for Reddit. I'm in the United States and I'm fully aware that it's not okay to be uninformed. That said, the constant news felt really hard on me. So I stopped obsessively checking the news and have drastically limited my exposure to social media. It's helped a lot. Story 19. I went to therapy, cried a lot, felt sorry for myself over and over again, and just got bored. I got bored of staying home and feeling alone, I got bored of crying, I got bored of having to wake up and be in therapy at certain times, I got bored of the therapy talks. I had a list of crazy things I wanted to do, which I always put off for one reason or another, like skydiving, traveling. I just did them. I started living for myself and stopped worrying about trying to make others happy or waiting to share those moments with someone else. Starting sports and new hobbies brought me new friends and experiences. And volunteering. Volunteer for a cause you love. That always cheers me up when I'm sad. Scientifically speaking, exercise is a great way to boost good hormones, and vigorous activity, too. Break a little sweat. And it also helps to find that sport you're truly passionate about. For me, it's competitive team sports. And quitting habits like smoking and drinking. I've always used nicotine as a coping mechanism through bad times. I feel so much healthier after quitting cigarettes and vaping. And my wallet thanks me for it, too. Story 20. I analyzed what I could change in my life, and I actually started doing it. I began healing my childhood traumas, got a new job, left a horrible 5-year relationship, started being a little more active because I'd gained a lot of weight from stress eating, started visiting my family a little more, and dedicated more time to my peace and happiness. I can say that, after about 7 months, I feel like I've overcome depression. I have energy, both mentally and physically, I don't deal with as many bad thoughts as I used to, and I notice so many other everyday things.